Hello, everyone. This is Jeff Dickey-Chasins, the Job Board Doctor, and I want to welcome you to Job Board Geek. It's the podcast about the business of connecting employers and candidates. And today we have a very special guest. We have Johnathan Samuels of Ntroduced, and he'll be on in a little bit. But first, I want to say hi to Steven Rothberg of College Recruiter. Hey, Steven, how you doing?
I am doing really well, Jeff. Good to be with you again.
Yeah, well, I would have to agree with that. I'm always happy to be with myself as well. So it's it's a good day in my business when I'm upright. So before we get started, I was just going to say, did you see that outrageous amount of revenue that Indeed produced? They had like 107% year over year increase in revenue in their last financials.
Yeah, a little bit of that, and I emphasis on little was currency fluctuations, but I
Right.
still think even without that, I think it was like 101 or something like that. So clearly they didn't make the money off of currency fluctuations. They just the only thing that they really do well is just execute, execute, execute.
Yeah, and part of what surprised me is that a few days after that came out, Indeed Ireland's results came out, and they actually lost money this cycle. And Indeed Ireland, for those of you who don't know, is basically all of Indeed except for the U.S. and Asia. So all the other places they've expanded to rolled up into Indeed Ireland, and frankly, I was a little surprised that they had lost money. The previous year they shown a tidy profit. And historically, Indeed has grown by expanding into other markets. So, I don't know what that means, but I certainly found it curious.
Well, coincidentally, sales of Guinness and whiskey in Ireland were way up. So I don't think that there's any correlation at all between the two of those things. I mean, there's no causation. There's certainly correlation.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember if it was Indeed or LinkedIn. One or the other was running a pub. I think it was LinkedIn was running sort of a pop-up pub in London and also in Dublin to promote their business. Come in, create a profile, get a free pint of Guinness. Maybe Indeed's going to get into that business too.
I would have 47 profiles, no problem.
Well, okay, enough of our brilliant insight into the industry. So I want to introduce our guest today, Johnathan Samuels. He's the founder of Ntroduced, along with the founder of several other companies over the years. And Johnathan, welcome to Job Board Geek.
It's good to be here, and looking forward to hanging with you guys.
Yeah, well, hopefully you'll survive and go on somewhere else and thrive. I guess, Johnathan, one of the things that we're trying to do on the show is really spotlight companies that have a non-traditional model. And I think, Ntroduced is definitely that kind of site. I'll call it a job board just because it's a generic term, but you're really quite different from what most people think of as a job board. Why don't you give me some background on you and how you came to create Ntroduced, and what's it all about? Why is it different?
Yeah, sure. Well, I've been in this business for probably giving up my age a little bit here, but I've been in it for about 25 years almost, and started off on working in an agency and learning everything that way. I mean, when you're in an agency, you learn the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I started developing a real interest probably about 7 or 8 years ago, using technology to help with some of the pain points of hiring, and not just for employers, but the pain points for job seekers as well. Mm-hmm. So that really interested me, and that's what brought me to the point where I am now with my platform, Ntroduced. And Ntroduced is spelled without the I at the beginning, like introduced, but no I at the beginning.
So guaranteed to confuse someone like me if I'm actually trying to write it. I'll be like, how do I spell it? So,
Yeah, exactly. We just wanted that little twist there, and we have it. But the platform itself is it is a little bit different out there, and I think sometimes things need to be. But we're more of a platform that we put job seekers and companies together based on personality traits, their soft skills, and their shared values. And I remember years ago that I used to hear about that, and I used to think it sounded kind of corny until I started interviewing people using my own, practicing what I preach. And when I interview people, I don't even look at their resume anymore. I'll take a glance at their LinkedIn profile, but my interview with them is to find out who they are as a person. I want to know, what motivates them. I want to know what kind of what cultural values they share. I'd like to know what soft skills they have, so I can really see, past just the hard skills. Hard skills, you can teach hard skills. You cannot teach soft skills. And I've had businesses with cancerous employees and things like that, and they ruin businesses. And when I started interviewing people this way, based on who they are as a person, we ended up creating this incredible team. There's a team of 16 of us right now, and all of them are awesome. They're just great people. Everybody's friendly with everybody else. They're helpful. And I realized that this stuff is real. I mean, if you want engagement and retention, you've got to start looking past the hard skills and that 3-month gap in the resume, because there's some, it is not that hard to fix high attrition.
So how do you guys assess the soft skills? That's I've certainly done this sort of stuff in my past when I was a hiring manager, but I'm just curious as to how you do this through the job site and how you scale up, because it can be time consuming, right?
Yeah, it was time consuming actually, putting that together. That's a really good question. So I did, aside from having a strong interest in organizational psychology, probably should have majored in that in college, but I didn't. But I'm studying it now. I actually hired an advisor who is a professor at Boston University, and she specializes in building assessments. Her name is Taylor Payton, Dr. Taylor Payton. And she helped build this assessment that I have. It's part of Ntroduced. It's a very short assessment. It gets to the point with the soft skills that are important to employers. And after they take that 3-minute assessment, it shows them 10 different soft skills and where they fall against the norm. So somebody might be, top 10 percentile. So they're 90% better than 90% of the people out there. We have this, and that's pretty new. But it definitely gives us a good idea about somebody's soft skills. And then we go a little further and we go into career motivators. And I think career motivators is something that, kind of goes together, or should, because when you learn somebody's career motivators and what they are, you're going to know if you're in alignment or not. With that, with a company interviewing a candidate. So, we have little mini assessments like that. We gamified it a little bit, and that's how we determine that. And then our presentation of that to our employers is done through a really cool, beautiful profile that they're going to get much more information about any candidate that they could have interviewed on their own from our profile alone on our candidates.
So Johnathan, I love what you said about teaching the hard skills. One of College Recruiter's customers was a Big Four accounting and consulting company, and one of their recruiting leaders said to me, I don't know, probably 4 years ago, 5 years ago now, that we can teach a candidate or an employee how to read a balance sheet, but we cannot teach them how to be a critical thinker. And that revelation to them allowed them to be far more inclusive in their hiring. No longer did they restrict their candidate base to finance, accounting, and economics students. Now, if you were in liberal arts or fine arts or, God forbid, a occupation or a therapist kind of a major, that they would actually be happy to talk with you. So, question for you: if I was a candidate going to Ntroduced, if I was an employer going to Ntroduced, on the candidate side, do I get assessed before I am looking at that potential job, or does my assessment then lead me to, hey, based upon your assessment, you should be looking at these 12 jobs? Or is it more of a, for this particular employer, we want you to answer this 3-minute segment of questions, and because that's what matters to this employer?
Yeah, that's a great question. Really good question, actually. So employers, we want to make this. We want the user experience on our platform to be very simple as possible and easy as possible. So we don't get it too far into the weeds of passing, assessments back and forth between the company and then the candidate. But what we do is when a job seeker creates a profile on Ntroduced, they have, besides the basic information that people ask, we talk about soft skills, we talk about career motivators, we talk about cultural values that they hold near and dear. And we have asked them about they select the benefits and perks that they like. So they make all these selections, and once they make the selections, we have their information, and we have a jobs page of all of our partner companies. And when we onboard a partner company, they fill out pretty much a similar assessment type assessments, what their culture is like, this, that, and the other thing. And so when candidates scroll down to the different jobs, they see pie charts and showing them how much they match on this on this one right here on values, how much they match on the perks they want, the benefits, that kind of thing.
And is that employer by employer or job by job? I ask a question
employer
because
by employer.
Employer by employer. Okay, so
yeah.
So like a Fortune 500 company with 50,000 employees, they would have sort of like one registration. They'd fill in their desired profile once. If they had 1,000 jobs, they're not filling that in 1,000 times.
No, right. And actually, in a large organization like that, it would be the particular department, like engineering or sales, because amongst the big, the culture of a large organization, you've got subcultures in there. And the subcultures would be in the sales department. There's a separate subculture in the engineering department, accounting, whichever. So
and I think you said, or maybe I saw this on the site, you guys primarily focused on sales positions and tech positions, right?
Yeah. So I started the platform. It used to be called the Sales Club. And we only had sales jobs. It was only sales jobs. It was just me that started it. This was several years ago. It was great. It went great. And then it was time to add tech jobs. And I'm like, uh-oh, I got to change the name. So
Right.
I was trying to think of something that was relevant, that could be relevant for everything. And, basically what this platform does is it literally introduces candidates and companies. Each one can just with one click, an automated email will go out from the company asking for the candidates, interview availability and vice versa. So, it was about introductions, and that's how I came up with Ntroduced. And so now, as Jeff was saying, yeah, sure, we have sales, now we have tech, and we also do marketing. So marketing is our third one, and that's
Interesting.
relatively new. And you'll see that we just finished the work on that on the platform, and that'll start showing next week.
And I assume your revenue model is that candidates aren't paying, that this is an employer paid system?
Yeah, it is an employer paid system. So what we want to do is we want to, we deal a lot with startups, maybe, late seed round or, A round, maybe B round. And they're all in different stages. One has an HR department, one doesn't, one, only has one recruiter. So we offer, people can order a subscription service to the platform and hire as many salespeople as they like. And they pay an annual fee or for 6 months, and they can just, pick them off on their dashboard on the platform. And then we also offer the pay per hire, which not like agencies, but they're just pay like an agency. It's all done on the platform, but they still pay like an agency style, whatever percent. And then we also have kind of an RPO kind of thing where we'll dedicate people to these certain startups that have no recruiting help at all and no HR help, and we'll step in and do all that nitty gritty work and screen other their resumes from other job boards and do the things that they don't have the time to do.
Now, originally, weren't you guys just focused on the Boston area?
Yes, yeah.
And have you spread out?
Born and bred in Boston, and we are spreading out. We will be in probably 2 new cities in 2022, and one city already is in the works.
Cool.
So we'll have that. We'll have a second city very soon, and we're looking forward to that. And people love what we do. Our users, they're fabulous. Our companies, they're awesome. So what we do, we want to share with people in other cities, and I really think that we can be helpful to job seekers and companies, not just in our area but everywhere.
I can definitely see the startups, the smaller organizations. I mean, to me, a startup is both small and young. Most people don't think of a small company that's 30 years old as being a startup, but I could sure see a company like that getting a tremendous values with the assessments. The larger organizations, I would think that's going to be where your sales efforts become more difficult because they already have their own assessments, or they've decided for some, quite frankly, stupid reason not to use assessments. That they'd rather look at a degree or a school or a job title that you held 8 years ago and then try to guess at whether you can do their work. I think that the use of assessments is clearly growing rapidly because they're so much better now than they used to be. They scale well and they're far more inclusive. So are you finding that employers are talking with you about about improving their diversity and inclusion efforts which I think you're better positioned to do through an assessment than what school they happen to go to, for example.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, some of our partner companies say, "Listen, we need more diversity. We need, we need women. We need diversity. We need, we get that. We get them. We're in a great position to be able to deliver, all types of candidates because we don't just focus on like you're saying what they did in the past. We're more focused about the person, and yeah, there is a lot of bias in traditional resumes. I mean, it's going to knock people out that could be tremendous. They could be your next superhero in your workplace, but they'll never get that chance, and they'll never know because that person's resume did nothing as far as telling the company about who that person is, what their abilities really are, what they can do, not what they've done. So
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, in a way, you're basically helping these companies hire for people that could really be critical to their long-term success. And you're hiring the people that are resourceful, innovative, and I I think that's wonderful. I'm kind of curious. How did the pandemic affect you guys?
yeah, the pandemic, it affected us probably like a lot of people. Our business, we're the first to know about
Hmm.
about the slowdowns. And fortunately, we're the first to learn when things are coming back. But boy, we
Right.
were dead as a doornail for 2 months.
Hmm.
That 2 months, what was it, March, April, I guess. I
Yeah,
think.
would have been.
And then all of a sudden, in the last week of May, I think it was, after 2 months, we started getting calls from our client companies again, asking for this or that and needing help, and it just kept building, and then turned into a monster year for us. It was great. Those 2 months, though, they sucked.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Hold on, I'm going to put us on pause for just a second. Oh, wow. Well, I've always thought that your company actually is pretty resourceful because you've had to pivot a couple of times in the time that I've known you. And, it sounds like, you've come out of the pandemic really, really well. Johnathan, if people want to get in touch with you and talk to you more about the company and about yourself, how can they do that?
Yeah, we love interacting with our network, and reach out on LinkedIn. You can't miss me on LinkedIn, Johnathan Samuels. You can just send me invites. I'll talk to anybody and everybody. I really enjoy that. And my email is Johnathan, Jonathan, at Ntroduced.com.
And that's the letter N introduced, right?
The letter N, no I at the beginning. And
Yeah.
that's
Well,
how we get hold of me.
that's great. Well, I really appreciate you coming on the podcast. I knew it would be fascinating, and it was. And I believe that Steven has some reviews of the very first podcast that we released this week. So
Yeah. Reviews are really important to podcast publishers. It's one of the ways that the platforms, whether it's Apple or Google or Spotify, rank a platform for how people are going to see them. If they just are looking for a recruiting or, God forbid, a job board podcast, then they're going to go, and some of them are going to type in keywords. Some of them, even if they type in pretty much the exact name of your podcast, if you don't have very many reviews, your podcast might not surface. But fortunately, within a day of our first podcast dropping, we had hit our goal for the number of downloads that we were hoping to hit in total, which I don't know if that says that we're really great or our listeners are really stupid, but one of them is probably true, maybe both. But some of the reviews that we had were I thought were kind of interesting. Francis in Vatican City in Italy said, "Finally, my prayers have been answered." Joe in Washington, D.C., come on, man. You got to listen to this podcast and get vaccinated. Donald in Florida, fake news. Chad in Portugal, I'm super excited about listening to a podcast by two middle-aged white guys. Joel in Indiana, the JobBoardGeek Podcast, a slice of cheddar and a PBR are part of a nutritional breakfast. Shelley in Alberta, Canada, I'm excited again about something south of the 49th parallel. And finally, Serge, who says he grew up in New Brunswick, but somehow found his way to Western Canada. Well, you have to admit that it's a lot better than poutine.
I don't know why I doubt the authenticity of those reviews, but I think it's probably because I've known you for a long time, Steven. So
if you're saying it's fake news, then I don't know. I think, I don't know where we're going to go with that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's time for us to end this podcast recording. Again, I'm Jeff Dickey-Chasins, the Job Board Doctor. You can get any of the podcasts that we have recorded, which at this point amount to 2, on the jobboarddoctor.com/podcasts, or you can look at our site on Buzzsprout. And if you need to reach me, you can reach me at thedoctor@jobboarddoctor.com. And I will see everyone next time. Thanks a lot.